Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Busy. I hope you enjoyed today's story. And if you do, please subscribe. Here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Busy. It is episode 562. I can't even believe that. And I don't know if you guys are going to remember, but I had my dear friend Becky on back about 2 years ago. She just reminded me.
Mhm.
And I decided, or at least we decided together, that Becky's going to come on once a month. And unless you guys are like, wait, I want more of Becky. And which I'm hoping I think is going to happen because you guys are going to love her as much as I do. And Becky is a mom. Becky is a wife. Becky is Catholic. Becky is in long-term recovery. She just celebrated 26 years. And she's a professional. I mean, she does all these things, and we all live in this world where everybody's like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. And Becky does it all so gracefully, which I feel so honored to watch. I mean, obviously nobody's like Mother Teresa, let's face it, but she's doing an amazing job. And I just want to say thank you for saying yes.
Thank you for inviting me.
So I want to ask you so that my listeners can understand if they didn't remember from 2 years ago, when and why did you get sober?
When I got sober July 27th, 1999. So it was 2.5 weeks before my 21st birthday. And the reason I got sober was because I couldn't stop at one. I was a blackout drinker from the start. And there were so many things in my life. I reached for anything. It didn't matter what it was. I just didn't want to feel, and I took everything to excess. So I was in several treatment centers prior to July 27th, 1999. And many of those treatment centers centered around all addictions, including eating disorders, because that was something that I had from the get-go. That's how my addiction first manifested, was as an eating disorder. And then I pick up a drink and I pick up a drug and it's just off to the races. So it was just the perfect storm. So I addressed the alcoholism in 1999 after many people have brought it to my attention, but it started with an eating disorder. So I'm just addicted to everything. So that's how it happened.
And when you think back to those times of being just barely 21, I mean, like literally before you were 21.
Yes.
If you look back at that, what did your early sobriety look like? Like, what was that like when you were getting sober at like 26 years ago?
I still remember being in treatment on my 21st birthday. And I remember it vividly. I remember them bringing out, so I was also in the treatment center. I was in the treatment center for 3 months, and I was there for alcoholism and bulimia. So they had me on this like food plan. And I can vividly remember on my 21st birthday, they brought out a salad with like carrots in it, you know? But what your question was, what did it feel like? What was it like? I was grateful to be alive. I was grateful to be there. I still reflect back on all of the people that I met in that rehab and always think about them and wonder where they are and how they're doing. I remember being in that rehab and we were in this like big multi-purpose room and there was probably, I don't know, maybe 40 of us. And whoever was running this session told us to take the hand of the person next to us. I think we may have been saying the Our Father. And I vividly remember I don't remember much, but I remember little snippets that have stayed with me. And this one thing that stayed with me was look to the person to your right and look to the person to your left. There's a very high chance that they will not stay sober. And I don't know, that always stuck with me. And I always wonder, I guess I don't wonder so much anymore, but instead I thank God many times throughout the day, like, how did I get this? But for the grace of God. But for the grace of God. I don't know. You always hear, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be a mom. I wouldn't have these 3 kids. I wouldn't be a wife. and I wouldn't be at this company that I'm working at. And I wouldn't, so it's all but for the grace of God. So more is always revealed and it makes more sense. I always thought like, you think you have it. And then I feel like the longer you're sober, the more I'm like, I definitely don't. It's a very small beam. Um, so if that makes any sense.
Do you think your Catholic upbringing had anything to do with the fact that you got this?
Um, I do. So my Catholic upbringing, it was never about a relationship with God. It was more so about memorize your prayers, do a book report on a saint, get your sacraments. But not until I think I was brought to my knees in sobriety, did I many times, brought to my knees many, many times in sobriety, did I reach for that relationship and continue to seek on a daily basis because it is of the utmost importance. It's number one, number one. But I think my Catholic upbringing gave me a foundation to have an open heart. Um, I came in here and I'm like, of course I have a willingness to believe that there's something bigger than myself. I mean, I sat in religion class for, 12 years, of course I believe, but I didn't really have that connection. So over time, this has opened up and I've experienced, I sit and experience his presence many times throughout the day. Like he says, be still and know. Be still and know. So if I'm feeling overwhelmed at any time throughout the day, I can just go sit and be filled back up and be given that strength. But I think my Catholic upbringing set the foundation for having that willingness to seek more.
I love that. I love that because I think, like, I feel the same way. I remember when I went into a 12-step meeting and I saw, on the wall, it's all God was mentioned so many times, and I'm like, I can do this. Oh, I'm finally going to graduate summa cum laude.
Yes, it's so true. I was like, I graduated, and I'm like, after week one, I was like, I'm done. Let me make my amends real quick.
And how is it now? Because we've mentioned a couple times you have 20, so you're on your 27th year right
Yeah,
now, okay? And
thank you
how
to
do
God.
you juggle? Because there's so many people out there that I mentioned that word busy, my nickname,
Yeah,
busy. You
yeah,
know, it's everybody's busy, 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 and you've got a
yeah,
lot to juggle. You
yeah.
have, you have a marriage
Hmm.
that is of the utmost importance to
Yes, it
you,
is.
and isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. I remember on our first date, I think I said this to you many times, but I told Phil, I mean, I knew I was going to marry him on our first date and I told him my whole story. And I was like, you'll always be number two because God's number one. And that's just the way that is. And it works. Um, so yeah. So your question, how do I juggle things? I would say being married to Phil is a huge help. We're a great team. Um, I remember when we got married, it was like when hashtags started to come out, and I didn't really know. I'm like, what are these things? But I remember we had a hashtag for our wedding that was Team Shipos, and Phil
Oh.
came up with that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it makes more and more sense as the years go by. It's certainly Team Shipos, and that includes, our kids as well. So we're on the same team, and when one is up and the other one's down, sometimes you got to do more, and but it's like we have like an unspoken language.
It's so interesting because I have an older friend, and I know I told you this, and I
Uh-huh.
was with him in Rome, and he said to me, he goes, every choice, he said, decisions are so hard because every person is a good person deep down inside,
Yes.
but just some people don't make good choices. And a bad decision can take you down such a horrible path if you
Yeah.
take a bad decision, if you make a
Mhm.
bad decision.
Mhm.
And so this decision of marrying Phil, I mean, at that point you had
15.
17,
15 when
15,
I met him.
15
Mhm.
years of sobriety when you met him.
Yeah. Yes. So I had dated and I met him when I was 35. So of course, in my head, I'm like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I meet somebody sooner? Everybody else is married at like 28, 29, 30. It's that narrative that you tell yourself. It's comparing your insides to everybody's outsides. Well, like, they're already married. There must be something wrong with me. It's because I'm an addict. It's because, all of these lies that you tell yourself, which I think stems from the story that you may have been told as a child that you carry in. And until you heal that, you're going to continue to tell yourself that. But I met Phil when I was 35. And yeah, your question was, what was it like meeting him when I had that much sobriety? I've in those 15 years prior to meeting him, I met so many people like you. I've sat in so many people's kitchens who gave me so much of their time. Gone to so many meetings. And as you know, you meet so many different people from different walks of life. That's why I think it's chapter 2, there is a solution.
Yeah.
That one paragraph where it says we don't normally mix, but oh my gosh, like it's an instant bond. And I've met so I going into meeting him, I was starting to get I always knew like who I was, but I think I was scared to let her come out. And Phil, when I met him, she came right out.
Oh,
Do you know what I
you
mean?
felt safe. Yeah, you felt safe.
Yes, yes.
You
Similar to
felt,
the way I felt when I, called you up.
yeah,
I felt safe. So, and I knew he wasn't going to like go anywhere. It was that fear sometimes that you have, like that fear of abandonment, like someone's
yeah.
going to leave. And I knew he wasn't, going to go. So, but it
No,
took time. It took time. And I'm so thankful, like you said, that what your friend told you about the decision. I'm so thankful. There were so many times I could have forced something to happen in order to meet that timeline that I had in my head. So I didn't, so other people wouldn't look at me and be like, what's wrong with her? She's 35 and not.
right.
I could have forced that timeline many, many, many times. But as you and I have been talking about a lot lately, it's like patience, trust. And I'm so thankful to God that because patience is constant practice. So I could have reacted and been like, this is it. And I did it many times. I made a lot of not so great decisions. But I'm so thankful that they didn't work, because that was God taking care of me, because he knew what he was preparing me for and who he was preparing me for.
And was it important that he was Catholic?
Um, it was important that he believed in God and had a relationship with God, for sure. I'm going to answer. I think it was important that he was Catholic in my head at that time, because I wanted to please other people.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Whereas if he wasn't Catholic, if he was Episcopalian,
Right.
it doesn't matter. So yeah, but I think at that time I was scared if he wasn't, because I was so into pleasing others instead of focusing on myself and him.
So in this time of, you've known each other for
12
12
years.
years.
Uh-huh.
So in this 12 years,
Mm-hmm.
you have had a big life, like
Yeah.
a really big life,
Yeah.
lots of humongous changes.
Yes.
Like a year later, you had Ruby,
Yes.
your daughter, and then you had Vincent, and then you had Kyla,
Yeah.
and you've moved a couple times.
We have. We've moved a few times.
And all of these are big stressors. I mean, you've had the same job consistently for 25 years?
21 years. 21
20
years in October.
21 years she's had the same job.
Yes.
And you've stayed sober. And what would you attribute that to? Like, how has that happened? Because there's so many stressors pulling at you and so many different things, but you stay sober through it all.
I would say constant self-reflection is a big thing. I never stopped staying connected to a sponsor, to God, to the 12 steps. There were times where I wouldn't go to meetings. I'm not going to lie. I had, those kids, boom, boom, boom. We brought my youngest home when my oldest was 2.5. So I wasn't really going to meetings then. But that's when I picked up the phone and called. That's when I found, I reconnected with you. I remember just driving around and listening to your podcast, like squeezing the steering wheel, because I had these 3 babies in the back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it was like a new layer of the onion was being peeled back. And I think the answer to your question, how did I stay sober? I never stopped seeking. I would seek somebody in AA all the time. I would always pray. I would always get on my knees, even if I didn't believe, even if I was like, where are you, God? Because I felt so overwhelmed and so scared and all these new feelings and balancing everything. Um, and I think I was sharing with you yesterday, there was a time in my life where, I would think about the day ahead. Okay, any mom knows this. You have a running list in your head. Okay,
Right.
this one needs cleats. This one needs, I have to sign this one up for this. Oh, I didn't pack their snack, whatever. It's just like a running list. Got to reach out to that mom to ask if she can help me pick up whatever. And so I could easily overwhelm myself. Oh, I have this due for work. The house is a mess, all of these things. And that's when I need to stop. And that's been a practice. I didn't always do that. I would overwhelm the crap out of myself and be like, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. And then who would be affected by that reaction? My husband and my children.
Yeah.
So it was like another layer of the onion being pulled back. It's not about the drink at all. It's not about the food at all. It's about just what's going on right here. And I realized when I practice that stillness, things get done. And if they don't, it's okay. It's okay.
Mm.
Because in my addictions, I was like Jekyll and Hyde. I had this, when I was in the addictions, I was so focused on cleaning it up because I didn't want other people to find out. And that could look
Mm.
many different ways. Do you understand? So with bulimia, the way that looks is I binge and purge secretively. Nobody can know. Nobody can know. So I would clean it all up. So I needed everything always around me to be clean because I felt chaotic if it wasn't, if that makes sense. But that secret, even though I wasn't binging and purging and I wasn't drinking and I wasn't getting high, that can manifest itself in my family. So like I can go, if my kids aren't doing what I want them to do, I can react. I can scream. I can be like, oh my God, da, 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 da. This everything's out of control. Everything's out of control. And so then that affects them. But then you go outside and you see your neighbor and you're like, hi, everything's great. How are you? Oh my God. Da, 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 da. Do I look okay? Is everything okay? You know what I mean? And that's that whole, and I think as time passes, I've been able to experience not doing that, not reacting all the time. And my insides have more so matched my outsides over time. Does that make sense? I
Oh my
hope.
gosh, completely. I
Yeah, it
mean, you
takes
talked
time
on
though. It's a daily practice. Even having that awareness, because if you grew up that way, that was normal.
right.
Growing up in a way where it's like, shut up, get da da da, make sure you look good, make sure everything looks good, and then when you get outside, they're telling you, you look good, everything's going chaotic behind the door, and then you open the door, you're like, everything, look how good I look, but I'm chaotic on the inside. But that was what I knew. So to reverse that takes a lot of time. But by the grace of God, I have that distinction today. So when I fall back into it, which I do because I'm human, I can quickly be like, whoa, 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 Becky, stop, you know?
Yeah. I love how real you are because somebody who's listening to this may not even have a day, right?
Mhm.
Or a year or
Yes.
whatever, wherever they are, and they might not even have an addiction, but feel these same feelings.
Yes. Especially as a parent, you're in charge of these people's lives. And we live in a world today where like you can go on social media, you can open up a magazine and you have these filters and everything looks really nice and that's great. And you can, scroll social media and they'll be like, buy this pill because you're going to be thin, or wear this vest when you walk because then you'll lose weight, or get this makeup or get this facial. It's overwhelming. It's so many quick fixes at your immediate disposal. And so I think we live in a world that's so focused on instant gratification. Whereas when I was growing up, we didn't really, I mean, yeah, there was nice things, but today it's everywhere and it could be at your doorstep in 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's very tempting. Um, and you see, it's that whole thing of like you and I talk about all the time, comparison. When you're raising your kids, well, so and so's kids have this, so I must get you know what I mean? And getting to a place of being okay with who you are, you don't have to do that stuff. But it's so easy to do it today because I think there's so much focus on what you have, all that stuff, what you're doing, where you're going, what, you look in social media too, in everyone's houses, or, it's just, there's access to so many people's lives, too much information.
And it's some of it is so it's not even real. It's like all made up. Like
Yeah.
you just said. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember getting my kids ready for church and being like, God damn it, put on your shoes. We've got to go praise to the Lord. And I've just
Yes.
cursed at them and yelled
Yes.
at them. And I did use other profanity, which I'm not going to use on this
Yeah.
podcast today. But I remember, and it was all about showing up. But I was raised like that. Like when we
Yes.
went to church, we had to look like the Kennedys.
Yes.
And little did anybody know, walking in there, we were like, could have been on Jerry Springer.
Yes.
Instead.
100%. Yes. But getting to that place where you realize that's not, I think AA is what taught me that for
Yeah.
sure. Like,
Yeah.
you either make yourself better than or worse than. If
Mhm.
everybody's dressed nice, then we're better than that other family that's over there and it gives you this, it's ego and pride. And I think getting to a place of, we're all just bozos on the bus. Some of us are a few steps ahead, you know, some of us are a few steps behind, and some of us are shoulder to shoulder. And if you've been given this gift, it comes with a huge responsibility to freely share it. And I grew up in a home where it was just constant judgment of everybody. I'm going to make myself better than this person or less than this person. And in doing so, you really isolate yourself. So when I first became a mom, what do you think I did? Judged. Oh my gosh, she has so much help. Oh my gosh, she has her mom there all the time. She's not as good as me because I'm doing this, just me and my husband. We don't have that help. Like, what a freedom to be relieved of that. Because when you're relieved from that bondage of judgment, your world becomes so much fuller. Does that make sense?
It
You have more
totally does.
relationships. You have more people in your home. I'm not, so, but that again takes time. It's breaking that narrative that I was taught.
So if there's somebody out there and they have a husband and or they have a wife, okay,
Mhm.
and they have kids and they realize that they're getting, now you were sober a long time, but if
Mhm.
somebody is trying to, if they realize they have a problem with food, which I think is so
Huge.
many times is scraped under the rug. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, well, food, because they want everybody to look like these, like insanity, these filters and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell people all the time that I don't think people remember this, but like back in the day when you're in Europe and you're going to museums or even in an art museum in Philadelphia or,
Mhm.
in Miami, whatever,
Yeah.
old paintings,
Mhm.
women are always curvy
Yes.
and they always have tummies and they
Yes.
always have, hips and all the rest of it
Yeah.
and little and bum bums and
Yeah.
all that. And that meant that you were wealthy because
Mhm.
you had the ability to have food.
Mhm. Mhm.
Today, it's like I wanna look like I am it's like the messaging that's going on about
Mhm.
the alcohol, the pills,
Mhm.
the food, everything. It's all so overwhelming. No wonder we're living in a world where you're constantly watching things about, "If you need recovery, call this number."
Yes.
What do
Yes.
you attribute that to? And what advice would you give to another mom that's young like you and is feeling like overwhelmed and so many things going on and they're juggling all the things that you juggle? The only thing that's missing for you is a dog. Just throw a dog in there and you're over the
Yeah.
top. I mean, it's and what would you say to them to slow down? Because I know you've taken yoga certification
Mhm.
back.
Always searching for something. I was
Yeah.
always searching for that. But you're right, it's overwhelming. Like, I think I was saying to you the other day, driving down 95, there's, like, advertisements for rehabs because it is certainly an epidemic. And if I put myself in the position of a mom who, yeah, is feeling that overwhelm, which I totally get, I would say reach out for help to somebody that you trust and share because we're all so much more alike than not. Ask God to remove you from the fear of judgment. Talk to somebody who will just listen. You got to get it out because otherwise you're not going to be able to be the mom and the wife that you were made to be. There's so much more potential when you're free of that stuff. But that's what I would say. Ask for help. Anybody can call, you can give out my email, or I'm
Yeah,
happy to talk to anybody, because we're so much more alike. I totally get that overwhelm. I totally understand it. But there is a way up and out. But we all need to talk to each other. And I think today the moms, there's some fear that comes with it, because I think, you have that mom culture where it's like the wine culture, or the moms, the mean moms. But that's never going to go away. It doesn't mean that you can't find a mom who wants to listen, wants to help. And when you share with her, you're helping her as well. Because I think a lot of times we think we're so unique and nobody else feels this way. We all feel that way. We all go through that. And I've met many moms, most of them not alcoholics, if not all of them, not alcoholics, not in recovery. But I talk to them with my AA language, because it's all I know anymore. And they're like, they all get it. They all get it. They're like, oh my gosh, that's exactly, I feel the same way. And it creates a bond, And so just pick up the phone, call somebody, and just be like, oh man, I'm having a really tough day. My kids aren't listening. My house is a mess. And when somebody reaches out to me and shares that, I'm like, let's pray. Let's pray. Because when you're okay, the world around you is going to take care of itself. But if I'm not okay, I'm going to make the house messier, because I'll run around screaming. You know what I mean? I'll run around telling, do this, do that, do this, do that. But if I'm okay, everything else around me. So that's what I would say. I would help a mom get to that place, or share with her how I get to that place on a daily basis.
yeah. How do you get to that? That's where I want to end with today. And
Okay.
Becky, you guys, as I mentioned, she will be back again
Yeah.
in September, if not
Yes.
sooner. But
Yes.
if you were to say to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now, again, we could go on and on talking. We could talk for 5 hours, as
For
we all
sure.
know, and
But we've never
because
done that before.
we exactly.
Me.
And school is like there's just so much right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when you described right then, and if you're not watching this on YouTube and you're just listening to this as you're walking, Becky actually took her hand and went up like she was in the center of her body. And
Mm-hmm.
so, if you were to say to somebody, how do you do like a timeout and recenter? If you want, like, what would you give one tip to a mom so she could do that, like during the day when she's feeling completely overwhelmed?
Yeah. So this is something that I've just recently practiced, and you have helped me with this. I think oftentimes we're told that rest, and as a mom, sitting down on the couch, laying down on your bed, laying down on the couch, sitting outside on your patio for 20 minutes, 30 minutes in the quiet. It's not okay. You have to keep going. There's so much to be done. What's for dinner tonight? Oh my gosh, do your kids have their school clothes, their school uniforms, all that? There's always something to be done. Always. That's not going to go away. The laundry's not going to go away. The dishes aren't going to go away. But when I am okay, I'm able to view all of that more so as I get to do this. I get to be of service to this family of mine that's eventually going to move out and have their own wings. But I get to be in this moment, which these are certainly the good old days, and I don't want to miss it. But the way that I would share that is I've gotten to a place which has taken time, and it doesn't have to take as long for others as it has for me. I give myself that rest. I retreat. I tell my kids I'm taking a time out. And I go and I just sit in the quiet. A lot of times I sit in my backyard and I just look at the flowers, or I watch the birds fly, and I just listen to my breath. That's it. I have to have a quiet time. I have to remove myself from the environment that I'm in 98% of the day. And then I return to it and I'm good. But giving yourself permission, it's okay to stop. It's okay to rest. It's okay to lay on your bed that's messy, has laundry on it. It's okay, because when I'm okay, that's not so magnified. When I'm not okay, I'm going to magnify that shit because everything else is out of control in here. When I center myself and put God back in control, that stuff is not magnified. Do you understand? So when you're out of control, you're going to try to control things around you. Like that, this is a mess. My kids aren't wearing what I want them to wear. my daughter did a craft in her room, and like I'm in my daughter's room right now. It's a mess because she's so creative. I can look at it as it's a mess, or she's so creative and she's always doing something. And I love it. Like she's got stuff everywhere that she's built, that she's made, books that she's made, painting. And there was a time in my life where I'd be like, get this up. I need everything. Because in my addiction, everything always had to be clean. Because bulimia is very messy. Alcoholism is very messy. Yeah. Because when you're unconscious like that, it's just anything goes. Anything goes. Mm. And I lived like, do you know what I mean? Anything. Yeah. So, but when I'm okay, I don't need to control that stuff. Instead, I can let my daughter be who she is, which I can't think of a greater gift to start that at such a young age. She's, always doing something. My son always doing something. My other daughter always doing whatever our big sister's doing. And I'm able to let them if I'm at peace and connected to God.
I love it. Becky,
that's a constant practice. Give yourself rest. And I'd be happy. You can give my phone number to anybody. I'll call anybody who's going through that.
I'm going to give your email address. I'm not giving your phone number. Okay, guys. I'm going to give her email address. I've been doing this too long to be able to say, okay, I'm going to go put her email address out there on 95. Our phone number, I meant. You know what, Becky? This has been wonderful and so helpful. You guys, did you hear that? Rest. It's okay to take a break and say, I need a timeout and I might lie down for 20 minutes. It doesn't mean you're bad. I love that.
Yes. Just sit in the quiet. Yeah. Quiet everything. And then you're able to re-enter with God holding your hand.
Love it. You guys reach out to me, reach out to Becky. Becky's email will be here in the description on the side of wherever you're watching this. And know this, you are not alone. And thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe and share it with your friends. Take care. Beck, I love you. So you guys, you'll wait for Becky. If you have any questions you want for Becky and you don't feel like reaching out to her, you can reach out to me at elizabeth@elizabethchance.com. Until next time, remember, keep getting busy living. So bye. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening to Conversations with Busy. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, if you could subscribe, that would mean the world to me. And follow me on all social media. And you can also get my newsletter every Friday morning into your inbox. Just go to elizabethchance.com.